Okay, I think we've got quite a few coming in. So good morning to everyone. Welcome to our webinar or online seminar with the title Do More in Less Time, Efficient Plant Collection Management with IrisBG. Thank you all for coming. This session is scheduled for about 90 minutes, but we think we should finish in between 60 or 70 minutes. Depending on the amount of questions we get. With questions, feel free to send them through during the session by using the chat function. Your microphone will be switched off, and we try to address or answer questions as we go along. If you can't manage it, then we'll take the questions at the end. So just send the questions in. And we'll have a small break mid-time, sort of when it fits in with the presentation, probably around 30 or 40 minutes into the session. So first I would like to introduce myself. My name is Howard Ostgaard. I'm the manager of botanical software here in the UK. I'm the software architect by profession. I've been involved in I'm a keen gardener and also involved in this project for many years, so I know a decent amount of about plants and botany. But Øyvind Rustan, the product manager, he is our in-house botanist as well. So he's with us and today as well. So. Today's agenda, the topic or the title, Do More in Less Time. So first of all, I would spend a few minutes, for those of you who haven't seen Iris before, we'll spend a few minutes just to give you a quick introduction about what the product is. Then we try to look at what is effective record management or plant collection management. See if we can come up with a definition here. And then we're going to talk a bit about what you could do in your own organization in terms of effective record management, what kind of administrative decisions or changes you could do or look at. And then for most of the session we talk about IrisBG and what IrisBG can do for you to make your work day more effective. And then we'll round off with a summary, and then at the end some question and answer session. So what is IrisBG? It's a complete collection management solution. So we try to provide all the tools necessary for botanic gardens to manage their plant collection from a sort of record keeping perspective. These 5 points here are sort of what we focus on when we work on the application. So it's ease of use, flexibility, a modern product, time saving, which is obviously something we're going to talk about today, and then at the end, affordable. So we try to keep our prices at such a level that it is accessible to gardens, small or big. So that's sort of these are sort of our sort of building blocks when we work on the product, what we sort of think is very important when we develop the product. Just a quick also list of or this slide here just shows you a quick sort of story about the product. It was launched in 1996. And it was used in Norway for quite a number of years before we introduced it into the United Kingdom. And then only lately we've also then started to go more outside Europe as well. And this year we had our first attendance at the APGA conference in the United States. So today our product is used in Europe, in North America, and in Asia. The product has a number of features. It comes with a standard package which gives you everything you need to manage your plant collection, and then there's a number of additional modules that are optional. That there's a Garden Explorer for web publishing publish your plant collection online. There is IrisBG Mobile to be used to update your plant collection out in the fields. out in the garden, Mapure for map integration, Indexemidum for seed exchange management, the herbarium module to record herbarium vouchers, and then the data import, which is a module to import data. Well, yeah. So we have all these modules are optional. So I'm not going to talk more about the product. There's plenty of resources online. So go there and look and send us questions if you have any about the product. We have lots of different leaflets, etc., to give you more details about that. Okay, so going back to the topic of the day, what is effective record management? We've sort of mulled this over a bit, and I usually don't like slides like this that have a sort of a long text that that I read off, but I want to do this once. And here's a definition that we've come up with. Effective record management is achieved when you have all the data you require recorded with a high level of quality using the least amount of effort. So what is important here is the highlighted text. So data you require. So first you need to understand or make sure you are clear about what you actually want to record. You shouldn't spend time on recording data you don't need. That's number one. And quality is also important. If you record in lots of data, but it's all of poor quality, it could quickly become useless. So that's also extremely important. And finally, effort. How much effort you spend to add your to add the data into the system. So all these things combined is what makes effective record management. And we're going to talk about all these three aspects in different ways in this session. So yes, what is effective record management? I mean, you could also claim that putting roller skates on the record keeper could help. But on the other hand, if you get tools that makes things go faster, so the analogy is not completely wasted because you speed up your daily routines and you become more effective. So what can I do? So that's the first question we might ask ourselves. So as I said in the introduction, we're going to talk about what you can do and then what IrisBG can do for you. So here's some points that we think is worth reflecting on. First, this is sort of a general philosophy in that in terms of data quality and efficiency, it's often the best results are achieved when data is captured when and where it happens. So meaning if you're sowing new plants, seeds, if you can record it when you actually do this, that is the optimal sort of idea about efficiency and accuracy. You can imagine if you plant a tree and you then try to record it 3 months later, you might not remember where it was, etc. So you forget the information and the accuracy might be lost, etc., etc. So that's something to think about in general when you look at how you manage your plant collection. The other thing that I find quite important is to reflect on the quality. So if you have a situation where the value of the data you put in, I mean, when the person actually recording it is not sure about the value, then you might get into trouble with actual sort of data quality. People, you know, if you sit there and be asked to record take photos of everything and then nobody's going to use it, then of course the sort of motivation is lost a bit. So keep that in mind. And then the third point, which goes back to my previous slide about what to record. If you have a lot of staff putting in data and some of the staff is entering lots of data, others are entering very little, and et cetera, et cetera, sometimes you might then end up not recording what you're looking for, or you record a lot of the information that's not really interesting. So consider establishing a data capture policy for your garden. So that doesn't need to be a very sort of detailed thing, but so that you generally spread the knowledge between everyone using the system, that you what you should record and what you shouldn't record. And at the end here, I sort of, the plant collection has a purpose, and that should probably be reflected in the policy, so that you and your staff have a sort of clear idea about what they're going to focus on. So this becomes maybe more apparent when we show the system, because there are many options there, and you might want to, you should pick the ones that are relevant for your scenario. So now we're heading over to the main topic of the day, and that's what can IrisBG do, or how can we help you? These are just 4 points. We sort of help with creating hopefully a sort of efficient solution for you, and an easier solution that is also easy to use, but also easy to manage. That comes with installation, etc. We've made a lot of effort into ensuring that the data you enter is of high quality. I mean, we can't do everything, but as much as the technology can help in that respect, we think we've done quite a lot there. The third thing is flexibility. So the solution we've made for you is has a lot of flexibility in it, making it easy for you to adapt it to fit your requirements. And the fourth point, accessibility. In this context, I mean making it available to different users or staff, with different skill levels and different work types or work descriptions. So now we're going to go over to some examples of how IrisBG can help. What we're going to do here is to go through 4 different usage scenarios, and then I'm going to show you how IrisBG helps you a bit extra around when you use the system. So I'm bringing up here the IrisBG trial version, which is available. So if you don't have this available, get in touch and we'll send you a link for download. This is a fresh version, so what I'm going to show you today, you could try this at home. That's what I'm saying, really. So for those of you who haven't seen Iris, I'm just going to spend 2 minutes on the basics, and the rest will follow. I think if you haven't seen it and you're watching a recording of this, I encourage you to watch one of the getting started tutorials to get you a bit of sort of introduction on the product. So when you after you've logged in, you will have a navigation panel here on the left. This is how you access the different parts of the system. So if I want to go to the accessions, I can click here, and I will get the accession screen coming up. And then I can navigate down to the taxa screen if I want to look at that. And that's how I navigate between the different screens. And I can navigate back on the history here with this toolbar here. And then on the top here, you have a toolbar where you access the different functions, the most used functions of the system. And then finally, you can use the screen to record new data and also for searching, which I will show this in more detail. So the first example I'm going to talk about is a story about a plant, Quercus, that was planted, and then I'm just going to build up and show you different aspects of how IrisBG helps you to be more efficient. So this was planted a couple of years ago, so in 2010. So I'll just add in 2010 here, and it's Quercus Rober, which I can type, and then the list will come up, and you'll see also here that if you type a synonym name, you will actually find it as you type. So that helps you a lot in terms of picking the correct taxa. And then we're going to decide the provenance. We're going to say that it's a wild and a garden with wild origin. So, and this story is a planting which was planted in the experimental department, hut 3. I'm just going to scroll down here. I could have typed here as well. So, and what we did was we actually sown a sort of a acorn, which is maybe not so good example, but so, and then I'll type in the year, or that was sown in September 2010. So I'll save that. So just first, I would like to say something now in terms of the fact that I've now recorded a new accession, and I took a bit of time here, but a sort of an experienced record keeper will be able to record a new accession in less than, well, 30 seconds actually. It all depends obviously of what kind of information you want to put in, but it can go very fast if you have if you know if you have the data available. What I wanted to add here is also that I actually planted 3 acorns in one go, so I'll do that. Alternatively, I could have put in 3 lines here, 1 for each acorn, but for this example, I'm going to put in 3 acorns. So let's move on a bit and say that in November it germinated. Now the list you see here is something you yourself manage. So you can have any types of choices that comes up here. This is just on the trial database, but you can have sown or all kinds of combinations. So if I change this to sown and then say it was in November, and I can put the exact date here as well, or I can just put the year. But if I do this now, so now I've been here, it's gone 2 months, and I went in again and said, okay, it's germinated. What is interesting now is that the history is automatically populated for you. So when you make important changes to the actual data, the new line is added. So now I can see that when it was sown and when it germinated. And I should have made this change immediately as well. Only 2 of them had germinated. The one of them died. So you will there see that it how it sort of the project went on. Okay, and let's say we moved on a bit. We went into June 2011. So I'm going to type June here, 2011. So what you see here is that I've selected the line. I can either record on the top here or in the details screen on the right here. And I'm going to say that we had a look at it in June 2011, and unfortunately there's only 1 specimen left. So and then you see the progress already. So it's moving on, and then we decided in September 2011 to plant it out into the garden. So I did that in September, and then we put it into the let's see, the arboretum. Let's have a see, large in this part of the garden. So now it's moved out into the garden. And of course, when you have it out in the garden, you want to use maps here and see where it is planted in the garden. Obviously, Iris has full map support. But what is interesting is that you see here on the right, location, arboretum, large lawn, and you see a map symbol and show location in map. So what has happened already is that each area in the garden has been given a plant coordinate or a coordinate. So already the system knows whereabouts in the garden the plant is based. It doesn't know exactly where it's based, but it knows, has a decent sort of idea about it. And the consequence of this is that you can start recording your plants and without actually going to record the exact location of each plant, you still get a lot of still get good maps and where you can see where the plants are based in the garden. So that may, for small perennials, etc., you might not want to spend time recording exact location. We have another presentation recorded with the map viewer, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the maps here, but that's one sort of a very unique and extremely time-saving feature. However, if I want to record exact location, I'm just going to show you that because that works very well. You just click on, obviously you can type in the GPS coordinates, but I can also go in here and just zoom in and drag the marker to the right location, like this, and select and close. So if I drag the marker to the area where the plant is, and select and close. So that's very efficient in terms of record keeping. So I'm not going to say more about that. So have a look at the mapping feature after the session. So finally, for this particular story, we also took a photo today. So I could then say that we inspected it as well. We had a look at the plant. Everything looked fine, so we might as well just record that so everyone knows that it was healthy today. And what I could do is just put in the date separator and to get the current date very, very quickly. And then I can just leave the status and inspected, and we get a new history. And we should then add the photo we have as well. So I go to the Images tab. So the images, obviously, you can use Iris Mobile and take photos with the device, but if you use a standard camera, you can. So I have a few photos here, and I can just drag them straight in, like that. And that goes very quickly. And you will also notice that the camera details here, like this doesn't have a lot of details, but if you, the camera will often leave sort of details about when it was taken and what kind of aperture and shutter speed, etc. That kind of detail will be extracted for you. So again, very time saving. So yeah, adding photos takes you a very short time. So this little story I showed you here, we showed you how history is automatically created for you. You don't have to think about it. You have also a lot of flexibility with how you record dates. We also looked at how plant coordinates can be recorded. There's a third method with the use of survey points, and it's just another efficient way to record very precise plant coordinates, which I look at that on the other screencast or a video tutorial about how that is done. And finally, we also saw that recording a new accession only takes, could take less than a minute, depending on what kind of information you're recording. So now we're going to go to a slightly more advanced example. So when I go back to the screen here and want to start a new recording, I can just press clear to get a new screen. So I'll spend a bit more time on the accession screen because that is the screen that is used the most, and that's where obviously the efficiency savings are also the most, there's most to gain, you might say. So let's record a new Quercus. We're going to get in 3 Quercus Atlantica today. And I can see here that I don't have Quercus Atlantica in my collection. So I need to add that. How I do that is that I can just go straight in pressing this button. And that's again very efficient. You could do that with certain types of data that you use a lot, like contacts, like locality, and then also taxonomy. So I can just click on that and go straight into the taxa screen. And I want to record the new Quercus atlantica. So I'll just type here. You see that it quickly finds the right genus, and then Atlantica. Okay, so and now I could just press save and return back to my accession, but I would like to make sure that everything is correctly spelled. What I can do then is to go and use the web search feature. And here you have suddenly access to a number of web resources. This list you can manage yourself. We send out occasional updates on new items we find, but this is just the list you get with the trial version. And I want to check what the plant list is going to say about Quercus atlantica. So I'll just press there. And here we go. So I'm just going to show you that. So what the plant list shows me is that it is actually a hybrid, which I didn't know. So the name I was typing was obviously not exactly correct. So that I will have to fix. So I'll go back to the screen and put a hybrid marker in front. And then I can say this. And another thing that's interesting here is that when I use a regular X, the X is actually corrected to become a typographic X. The X that is correct from a purely sort of plant naming perspective. So that's another small sort of, this is the kind of things that is found in Iris around about, that the small sort of details that helps you get good quality without you actually having to think about it. So I've used the web search and I've checked the Quercus atlantica. What I also can do is to check it against the IPNI database by clicking on the blue button here. And you will then get, if there is if this name is recorded in the International Plant Name Database, you will get a hit, and then you can pick the details by clicking on the record, and we will get the author name, the IPNI reference, and also the publication reference. So again, very first time saving, but also extremely helpful in terms of getting good data quality. And the third thing I wanted to show you as well is that since I had a good web search, I found a link to the Atlantica on the plant list. I can just go straight down here to the web references and add the last successful web search, because that was a successful web search. So I then have a reference to this taxa recorded with very little effort. Okay, I can save that and then go back to my plant. I didn't spend time here walking on synonyms, etc. There are lots of research on how to use the taxa screen in more detail. I just want to show you one of the sort of more important aspects of efficiency savings. Okay, so we'll carry on. We'll record the provenance. So it's a garden plant. And we are going to say where it's located in the garden, the planting, and it's in the summer house, I think, yeah, F08. Yeah, no, we do the arboretum, I think. A08. So if you know the codes, you can type them. Yeah. So and we planted that. Let's say we planted that today. We got it today. So we planted it today. So I can just put in the date separator and then save. Okay. So that is the first plant in. We got three different species or 3 plants delivered. I mean, obviously, a lot of gardens would then put 3 lines here and then 1 line for each location. But for the purpose of demonstration, In this case, since this policy in this garden is that they will only record them as one accession if the genetic material is identical. So we're going to record them as 3 different accessions. And to do that, I can just click the repeat button. So then I get a copy of my accession. Some of the data is not copied. That's the data that you probably would change between each accession. And one of them is the date. So we're going to put that particular plant in rock garden, bed 6. And we'll put the same date and save. And then we'll do the same with the third plant, which we're going to put in the rock garden bed 26, like that. So now I've duplicated this 3 times, and you see how efficient that is. You can do this with a couple of other screens. This feature is also available. A very efficient way to sort of speed up a recording of similar accessions. So okay, so and then you're finished. You can then clear the screen and carry on doing what else you want to do. But then suddenly I realized that I forgot to record the nursery where I received these 3 plants from. So I want to fix that. So what I can do then is to search for the plants. And as I mentioned, you can use the screen to search for. And what I'm showing you here is that I don't need to type the exact names. And it's clever, so I know that something starting with Quercus or Quer, and then followed by anything starting with ATL. So that makes it's very efficient, and I can just press the Enter key. And then I get, in this case, it's only 3 Quercus Atlanticus, so all of them are received. So that's very efficient search facility. That sort of predictive behavior is available in different parts of the system. I feel you should look into that with some tutorials, etc. But I'll try to show a bit more of that during the sessions. So I got my Quercus, and I now want to update all of these 3 with the nursery name information. So obviously I could open one and then and change that, and open the next and change that. But in Iris, you can also then select the ones you want to update. And when I select more than one, I will get a feature up here called Update Multiple, which makes it possible to change all of them in one operation. So I will go in there, and then I get something that resembles the accession screen. It's slightly fewer fields. And here we got it from Tom's tree nursery, which we don't have in, so we need to add that as well. So I'll go in here and clear the screen. So it's Tom's tree nursery, like that. Save that. I don't need to record more than this. I can, of course, put phone numbers, etc., but in this case we're not going to bother. So we go back, and then you see here, update 3 accessions. So that could be 300 or 3,000. This particular function is typically something you give to only the most trustworthy employees. You can create quite interesting scenarios if you update 3,000 of the wrong accessions. So one has to use this with a slight amount of care. You get a bit of a warning here that are you sure what you're doing? So okay, so that was that. So I've now updated all those 3, and if we open one of them, you can see that Tom's tree nursery is added for this one. I can go to the next in the list, and the same goes for that. So a very efficient way to update multiple records with one operation. So what I've seen here now is, what I've showed you is how you can reuse the repeat function to duplicate the data. Also showed you how Iris integrates with other resources. We have the web search, which also incidentally is available from the accession screen. And we also have the link with the IPNI database, and just sort of in general, Iris will come with integration with other resources if they open up that kind of possibility. So this is something we constantly look out for with BGCI and other types of resources available. So that's something that I expect to be improve over time and make it even more efficient. What I also showed you at the end here is the multiple update record, which is that's definitely the roller skates for the record keeper, where you can do make a lot of changes in very short time. I see that we've sort of 40 minutes out into the session, and I promised a small break, so I think we should take that opportunity to, let's see, I'm going to take the screen away. Just have a quick break of 3 minutes, and then we'll carry on the presentation with some more examples. Okay, thank you. Yes, hello. I've received a few questions. I see that the sort of conference webinar panel was a bit oddly configured here, so I didn't see the questions coming in. Apologies for that. One question that that came in here is about the pictures and where are they saved. They are saved in the database. I will going to show you one. Take up the other photo I took here. Just going to bring up the first example we did, the Quercus rover, and these images here. So when you actually save the images, you have an option here that's called or where the sort of resolution you would like it to be. So IrisBG has a possibility to automatically downscale your photos. By default, it's set to 3 megapixel. You can change that yourself, so it becomes, you can say that you don't care about, or you have plenty of data storage capacity, so you will carry on using the original data file format. Or you could set it to 3 megapixel, which is very often more than enough. Anyway, the data is stored with the database, and our calculation, if you run on a 3 megapixel resolution, you will have about 1,000 photos per gigabyte, and hard disk isn't that expensive, so for many plant collections this won't be an issue. So that's the short answer. The database, we have had no sort of, I don't think there's any issue with this really, unless you have hundreds of thousands of accessions and insist on using the original resolution. Then, well, you just need a big database, but in theory, this should work out quite well. Yeah, it's a follow-up question about the speed of the database. Well, it's a hardware question. I mean, the machinery you can get today is so sort of scalable. So if you have that requirement, you would probably have the resources to purchase a decent machine, and it shouldn't. It obviously puts strain on the system, but it shouldn't create any problems. No. So yeah. There's a question about the import function as well. We won't cover that so much today, but I will mention it in a bit, but I don't think we have time to show examples of how that works, I'm afraid, so apologies for that. So, okay. Let's, well, thank you for the questions. Let's move on to some another stories here. So we showed you, now we sort of focused on the accession screen, and as I said, this is something that is, this is typically where you spend a lot of the time, so we thought that was important. What I'm going to do now is to go to show you some other features. We're going to take you through a story where we've been out in the garden and checked for plant labels and came back with a list of labels that needs to be replaced. Obviously, if you have Iris Mobile, you would do that by recording or creating a list out in the garden. So what we're going to do now is to build that list in Iris instead of the mobile, but the result will be the same. So we have in Iris something called tasks, which is found under management. And that really, that's a feature that has sort of a multi-purpose thing. It is a way to record things you need to do in work, like maintenance, etc. But it's also a way to just create a list of different things. So in our story, we have checked for plants in the rock garden. So we can give that a name. It's a plant label revision rock garden bed 9. And this is a maintenance. Again, this list can be populated with your own choices. And what we're going to create here is a list of plants or items, as it is called in Iris, so accession items. But you see, you can create a list of other things as well. And then if I had this, or if I had a barcode scanner, I could scan the barcodes. in this case, I have a list written down, so I'm just going to type in the accession numbers, and I'll just click enter. And here you see the predictive nature of this, the system again. I don't need to type 1968. I can just type 68 and then the number, and it will predict the rest of it. So 95, 482. So you see how efficient it is to add items like that. So the fourth plant here was the label was completely gone. So we need to find it, but we know it was a cotinus. So I need to find that, and then I can just click on that triple line to get the accession screen up. And here I can then do search, and this I'm going to be a bit refined search here, so I will use the advanced search feature. I could use the screen as well. I could type in the taxon name here, etc. But I'm going to use the advanced search. And I mean, if you haven't seen Iris, this suddenly becomes a bit more, maybe a bit sort of more advanced. But look at the tutorials, as I mentioned in the introduction, to see how this works in more detail. So I want to search for cotinus. So I go to the taxon name and type cotinus, and I want to get the cotinus in the location that we did the plant revision, or so that is in the rock garden bed 9 here. You could use with name, etc. You can combine this. So here I can combine a number of things, and then I click search. And then I got 2 cotinus in that area, and I knew that it was quite an old one, so it must be this one from 82. So I'll select that and select, and then I'm back to my list. So these are the 4 plants that needs new labels. So I can just save this now. And then I have my list here. So this, obviously, as I said in the introduction, this list could be also built up using Iris Mobile and when you're out in the field. And now I'm going to print the labels. So what I can do then is to go to the item management screen. And this is where you can create labels and do different kinds of operations on a group of plants. And here, as you can see here, with something called event name, which is events are the same for tasks, tree inspections, and exchanges. They're all called events as a sort of a general term for them. And I have my plant label revision here, so I can search for all the plants belonging to that list. And then I can just go straight to the create label function and print label. So in this example, we assume they have the same label just to make it the example a bit simpler. And then I create view. So I'm now the labels, depending on your printing regime, you know, you can get there could be you can have sort of export features that just send a spreadsheet or sort of tab separated files, etc. These are all defined in the system. We also support Word templates, which is supported by a number of different label printers. So the choices are you know, you have plenty of different choices here. So okay, so let's assume that I've printed this now. Then I also want to update to the system to say that the plant labels are okay for these plants. So I can do that here by saying, okay, label is okay. And I had a look at the plants, so they were actually live and well. So I can also put information that they were inspected today as well. And then I can click here. I get a little bit of a warning. And off we go. So now I updated all those 4. That the plant label is okay and that they were inspected today. Just to show that, I can go into one of these and look at the accession screen. And if I go to the items tab, you can now see that we had the inspection entered and also history again automatically created. So this is an extremely powerful way to sort of work on the plant collection. Create a list and do all kinds of things with them. I'm going to show you one more example of how lists can be used, not just for printing labels and updating plant status. So I'm going to go back to my task screen. And I'm just going to add one sort of small comment. You see here, navigate back, F7. We have added function keys for a lot of operations. So for people who are very sort of computer literate, they might want to start using the function screen. So you don't need to go forth and back with the mouse. That's sort of another kind of efficiency feature. Okay, so I'm back to the task screen. I'm just going to show you another example where I go here, and we have an exhibition of botanical illustrations in the foyer in the garden. So I'm going to record that as a task. So that's an exhibition, and it's an exhibition, so each drawing is of a certain taxa. So I'm going to refer that to the taxa we have. So it's Adonis vernalis, and you see I can press enter. So Adonis amurensis. So if I don't spell it right, it will tell me. So again, you're not allowed to cheat here or misspell this. So I managed to do that correctly without actually going in, but I can also go into the screen and search for it. Aconitum napellus. But I'm just showing you how excellent spelling I have. Trolleus chinesis, like that. So okay, okay, let's say I couldn't spell this properly, and I'll go back and just search for Trolleus, like that, and then we want the chinesis. Here it is. So let's do 2. So you can select more here as well. So let's say we want to do 2 of these into the. So these are the 5 taxa we had for this exhibition. So that's great. So so they're hanging in the foyer, and then of course people want to know: do you have any of these plants in your plant collection? Then of course you will then say, let me have a look. So you go to then you obviously could go to the reports, or you can go to the accessions. For this example, I would just go to the accession screen and clear search, go to advanced search, and then at the bottom here, I have the event search facility. And then I will search for all the taxa, no, accessions that relates to this event, to the botanical illustrations. And then search for that. And here we go. So here I have a full list of all the plants that are relevant to this collection. Now, obviously, you could sort of put that on a nice Word document, create a report, etc. I want to show you even slightly more powerful feature that might be interesting is, of course, to go to the maps and say I want to create a map, and then I go to events and click view. So here I have the map of all the relevant accessions for this plant collection. So extremely powerful, very, very powerful way to sort of work on your data. So, and the list could be of accessions of taxa or etc. etc. So there's plenty of flexibility here. Okay, so I've showed you how tasks and inspections can be used to create lists which can be used across the system. I also showed you how you can update accession items in one operation, and then you can sort of work on your data in a very efficient manner. Going over to another example. So that was the example of label printing and updating your accessions and working on sort of accession items update. I would like to sort of show you a few examples of reports, because that's something that is sometimes, I mean, if you have a system where you can put in a lot of data, so you obviously want to use the data, and typically in large organizations you have the management asking for lists, etc., etc. That's also quite an important thing, that you should be able to get the data you're looking for without too much fuss. It should be quite straightforward. So assume that someone asked us, the management asked, how many oaks have we planted since 2008? I'm just going to, as an example, I'll go in here to the report list, and I'm choosing the items data. I mean, the flexibility here in terms of how your data report works, etc. I will not go into that in this presentation, but there are plenty of resources online to show you how that works. But let's say, okay, I want to see all the quercus planted in since 2008. So I'll just choose, okay, give me all the genus with quercus and accession year greater or equal 2008. Now this looked at first a bit complicated maybe, but now as you've seen it, I'm sure many of you will think, oh, this is quite easy, and it is. It's quite straightforward, and you can really create very complicated sort of report extracts that gives you exactly what you're looking for. So I'll click View here, and then you will see that you get, okay, so these are the 4 we actually added this morning. So that's great, and you get it in a spreadsheet, which is also a very flexible way to sort of carry on the data and use it for other purposes. Just as an additional feature here, when you run a report, yeah, no, I won't go into that. Okay, sorry. So yeah, that was my quercus, great. So I can use that for whatever I like. So there are plenty of other reports here. I would like to show you a few more. For example, we also have, again, back to what I talked about earlier about sort of integrating with others. You have the BGCI extract here as one report. It goes straight out, and you can put it up on BGCI. We also have Darwin Core, and if there are any other sort of types of standards that should be that is relevant, we will introduce them. Okay, finally, one report that I think is quite new, but it's really great. I like it, so I'm going to show you that as well. There's sort of, again, types of reports we have. Here's the one that gives you a full overview of your plant collection. So yeah. Okay, so that was a bit of about reports. And they are sort of, in what we've seen, very often under, what should we say, yeah, it's often too complicated for people to actually take report, to produce good reports. We've put a lot of effort into making it as easy as possible. And yeah. So that was some of the examples I've showed you here. And what I will do now is to go back to the slides and look a bit more in general about other features in Iris that will help you in working on your plant collection. I mentioned Iris Mobile, and I'll say a bit more about that. It's a solution to update your plant collection whilst out in the garden. So you put the data on the mobile device, and you can then update your accessions, take photos, etc., update plant coordinates. So that goes back to what I said earlier, and that you can capture the data when and where it happens. So you see the plant needs maintenance, you can do that. It also has barcode support. So if you have barcodes on your plant labels, it will integrate with that. And it will synchronize the changes with the inbox, which I will talk a bit about in a separate slide. But there's some great benefits with that. Another thing that is interesting is the feature or support for tablets. I mean, Iris does not support iPad or directly, but just for some people, if you want to go and update your plant collection out in the garden and have Wi-Fi coverage, you could use Iris on an iPad with desktop remotes, and we've tried that, and it works quite well. So that's something to think about. Here's a few screen examples of how that will look. You know, the integrated keyboard pops up. So get in touch with us if you want to know what we've tried and what we found quite useful. So, but that's just something that it might not be sort of obvious to most people. And another thing that is important is about data quality, is that if you share your data with others, not only your staff, but also with your visitors, the data quality will, the motivation of actually entering data will change. So the Garden Explorer is a great way to share your plant collection, and the amount of work you need to do to actually publish it is next to nothing. You just press a button, and a few minutes later, your plant collection is published online. And that will be available on the people using a regular web browser, people using a smartphone, or any other type of device. The solution also integrates with QR codes, so that you can manage your barcodes or QR codes without actually doing any work whatsoever. So in general, with barcodes, etc., all this is managed by the solution. And look at our, we have an article on our blog about how QR codes work with IrisBG. And of course, this would work similar with RFID codes if you started to use that. So sort of a final point here is also about ease of use, and does it have to be difficult? I mean, a lot of solutions could feel very cumbersome to use. Our game is to not to make Iris as easy as possible, and that's a quite an important aspect of efficiency. Because if it is difficult, your staff becomes agitated, and you know, everything will be unproductive, or they just become exhausted. So ease of use is a very important aspect of efficiency, also from a sort of general health. You know, if you have really bad solutions, I mean, you might get staff calling in sick as well. So that has to be looked into. So our motto is we don't think it should be, and if you feel that something is difficult in our solution, let us know, and we will look into that. So, and one final point here is going back to data quality and capturing data when and where it happens. Get your staff involved. I mean, you should not. We don't advise that you have only one person recording a system. So if you, with Iris, you can adjust the access control so that people have the right access for the jobs they do. That means that you can share the data and involve the staff without being afraid that they won't, you know, make the wrong changes, you might say. We also have great support for peer reviewing. So you can, for example, search for records changed by a certain person. So you can say once a week you go together with your junior staff, you see what kind of changes they made to the accessions, and then you can revise that with them. That's a possibility you have in the system. IrisBG Mobile also have a great possibility in that it has the inbox features. So all the changes made on the device, it comes to the inbox. You can have a look at it before you actually commit it into the system. A great way to sort of revise data entry before it's actually put into the system. And finally, our website has lots of resources, tutorials, forum, blog, and also now a free self-paced training program. So getting new staff in, they can get up to speed with the program by using our online resources. So, and then we constantly work on that so that your day is you know, as efficient as possible with your new staff. So to summarize, we started by defining what is effective record management, and we talked a bit about the data you require. So we encourage you to think about your data capturing policy and make sure that you have a clear idea about what you want to record and what you don't want to record. I showed a few examples of how Iris help you to keep a high level of data quality. and obviously most of the focus here will also how things are helped, how IrisBG help you to be as efficient as possible with the different kind of efficiency saving functionality that we put into the solution. So this is sort of a summary of what we've talked about today, and we have focused mostly on demonstrating how IrisBG can help you. There's other things in the solution, so this has sort of been an overview packed into sort of 70 minutes, which I hope you found helpful. And we are ready for some questions. If there's any questions, please send them in. Yeah, there's one question here about customizing the system, drop-down lists, etc. Yeah, there's. I can quickly show you if I bring up the system again. So in the system, if I go to the accession screen first and open one accession, so all these drop-down lists here, like taxonomy, but locality, contact, etc., all the contents, more or less everything can be changed by you. And either it's changed directly here behind the triple button, you get details and you can change them there, or it's changed down here in the definition screen. So if you don't have a trial version, get a trial version and then you have a look. There's also a good video tutorial about how to change, how to do these changes, make these changes. We have also something called custom attributes, which is where you can define your own fields, which is even more flexible and powerful. So I recommend you to have a look at that. So you can add your own fields and you can also customize most of the content that you find in the drop-down lists. Yeah. So, oh yeah, there's another one here about updating multiple records. Could you show me another example? That went a bit fast. Okay, yeah, I can do that. Let's see. Yeah, what we could do is show you, instead of doing updates in accessions, I can show you using the taxa screen instead. So let's say we wanted to update all the alliums, and I wanted to change, make sure that everything has recorded the correct life form from alliums. So I'll just search for alliums, okay, and then I'll scroll down. I kept the shift button down, so I've just selected everything in one operation like that, and then I will. When I've selected more than one, I can press the update multiple, and I wanted to change the life form to bulbs. And as you see, I can do all the things here. I can add book references, etc. But we will settle for this now. And it's like 110 taxa will be updated here. So feel free to try that on the trial version. And bear in mind that the trial version runs on a very basic database engine, which is not very speedy. It will go much faster on a regular system, a standard system. So that's just an important point. But it still works. So here we go. I've updated all those taxa now. I can just go into one of them, and then you will see here that lifeform is correctly updated. So that's just a quick demonstration of multiple update records. Okay, yes, and the third question here about data access. How do you change the data access? Yes, good question. So the system works on a role-based data access. So first of all, you have in the management section, you have all the staff you put into personnel. Here in the trial, we have 5 staff recorded. So this is just details about the staff. And then we have what is called user accounts. So each user will then have its designated access. So here's Bob, the botanist. He has the role of a botanist. And Gary Gardner is a gardener, etc. And now you can also then change the access of a gardener. So let's say that we would like to see what the gardener can do. You can see that in the role types. And we could, for example, say that we would like the gardener to be able to update accessions. So I can change that to update and save that. So this is sort of quite straightforward. Have a look at the video tutorials, and you obviously can create your own roles, like head gardener, for example, or intern, etc., and then tweak it to fit your needs. Okay, yeah, we've now sort of come to the 75-minute stage, and I don't see that we get any more questions. The recording will be made available. We'll send a link out to every one of you. And I thank you very much for joining us today. And feel free to, if you want a free trial, get in touch. We'll send you a link for the download. And send us questions if you would like us to, if you have any questions. So thank you very much for this session, Do More in Less Time, with effective plant collection management with IrisBG. And thank you very much.